My GF said, I love you, but I'm not ready for the boring couple life. I want to have fun before settling with someone safe like you. So I gave her all the freedom she wanted and lived my life without her. Months later, she wants us back. Hey Reddit, my girlfriend of 4 years told me she wanted to feel young and wild before settling down with me. She thought I'd just sit here waiting for her to come back. She completely lost it when she found out I'd already moved on. Here's how it all went down. I, 32 male, spent 4 years with Tiffany, 29 female, thinking we were building something real. Met when we both had our shit together. I'm an insurance claims adjuster in Charlotte. She did marketing for some tech company. The first 3 years were golden. We were that couple everyone else wanted to be. Weekend trips to Asheville, hiking, actual conversations over dinner, instead of staring at phones like zombies. She'd bring me coffee in bed on Saturdays. I'd surprise her with concert tickets. Normal couple shit that actually felt special. She was smart as hell, funny, ambitious. She'd get excited hearing about my fraud cases. Yeah, catching insurance scammers is apparently sexy when you're not dead inside yet. I'd help her with marketing campaigns, watch her crush client presentations. We felt like a team. Moved in together after 18 months. Found this sick place in Ballantyne. 2 bedrooms, decent kitchen, space for both our crap without feeling cramped. She decorated it like a magazine spread, but somehow it still felt like home. Cooking together on weeknights, Netflix binges, talking about getting a dog when we bought a house. Yeah, I was thinking marriage. Had been for over a year. Not desperate. Gotta lock this down thinking, but genuine, can't imagine life without her. Shit. She the one. All that cheesy garbage that sounds stupid until it's your reality. Then around year 3, things started getting weird. She'd scroll Instagram longer, showing me posts from her single friends hitting up clubs with this wistful tone that hadn't been there before. Started complaining about our routine. We were apparently boring now. I'd suggest alternatives like dancing lessons, rock climbing, weekend trips to new places. Nothing fixed whatever was eating at her. 2 people started poisoning the well. First was her sister Ruth. I used to think she was cool. But lately, she'd been filling Tiffany's head with toxic bullshit about experiencing everything before settling down. Real helpful advice from someone whose longest relationship lasted 6 months. Ruth would show up for weekly coffee dates armed with Tinder horror stories, telling Tiffany she was wasting her youth acting like an old married woman. Then there was Brianna, Tiffany's new 23-year-old coworker, who treated Charlotte nightlife like her personal playground. This chick posted thirst traps with captions about living your truth and not settling for less. Started dragging Tiffany to girls' nights. My voice of reason, Hunter. My best friend Hunter saw right through the bullshit from day one. We've been tight since middle school, the kind of friendship where we can roast each other mercilessly, but would throw hands for each other without question. During one of our gaming sessions, we'd been running through some new RPG while Tiffany was out on another girls' night. Hunter paused mid-boss fight. Dude, your girlfriend's having a midlife crisis at 28. That's like mathematically impressive. She's just figuring some shit out. Yeah, she's figuring out how many dicks she can sample before settling for your reliable ass. Hunter never sugarcoated anything. I'm just saying, when someone starts acting like being with you is a prison sentence, maybe it's time to start planning your escape route. The red flags were waving, but I figured it was just a phase. Everyone questions their choices sometimes, right? I thought staying consistent, being the man she fell for, would snap her out of it. I was wrong. 2 incidents should have told me everything I needed to know. But when you're 4 years deep and planning a proposal, you convince yourself rough patches are just obstacles to overcome. First, the birthday disaster. Tiffany's 28th birthday fell on a Friday. I planned what I thought was perfect. Dinner at the place we had our first date, then surprise tickets to see this indie band she'd been obsessing over. Thoughtful, personal, romantic. She was weird during dinner, checking her phone constantly, giving one-word answers. When I presented the concert tickets thinking this would save the night, she barely looked at them. Turns out she already made plans with Brianna and the girls. Didn't bother telling me. We ended up at some trendy bar in South End, where drinks cost more than most people's hourly wage. I drove home alone while she stayed out until 3 a.m. She Ubered back and passed out on the couch without saying a word. Next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Thanks for a great birthday, babe. Like the previous night's humiliation never happened. Then there was that work event. 3 weeks later was Tiffany's company holiday party. I'd gone to this thing for 3 years running, always getting introduced as her boyfriend, making the rounds together. This time was different from minute 1. Tiffany found Brianna immediately and started treating me like her Uber driver instead of her date. She'd introduce me to new people as just Ryan, with no context about who I was or why I was there. When her boss asked how long we'd been together, Tiffany laughed and said we weren't putting labels on anything right now. 4 years together, living together for 2.5 years. My name was on the lease, my toothbrush was next to hers, but we weren't putting labels on anything. Then this new guy Derek showed up, some hotshot account manager, maybe 26, with one of those man buns that screams, "I peaked in college." Guy spent the entire night complimenting Tiffany, bringing her drinks, making inside jokes about work shit I wasn't part of. And Tiffany? She loved every second of it. When I tried joining their conversation, Derek would steer it toward work topics I couldn't contribute to. When I suggested we dance, Tiffany was too busy networking. When I asked if she wanted to get some air, she told me to stop hovering. The ride home was silent until we hit our parking garage. "Derek seems nice," I said, testing the waters. "He is. Really adventurous, you know. Makes me feel like there's so much I haven't experienced yet." That night, lying next to someone who was mentally already gone, I should have started planning my exit. Instead, I started researching rock climbing gyms, trying to figure out how to become the exciting guy she wanted, instead of accepting that the problem wasn't who I was. It was that she didn't want me anymore. Hunter called while I was spiraling through Google searches for fun activities for couples. "Dude, why are you online at 2 a.m. looking up skydiving lessons?" "I'm just trying to be more spontaneous." Ryan, my man, listen carefully. If someone makes you feel like you need to become a different person to keep them interested, that person is not for you. Also, you're afraid of heights, you absolute walnut. The ring in my sock drawer felt heavier every day, but I kept telling myself this was just a rough patch. I was working overtime to save something that was already dead. The conversation that ended everything happened on a Tuesday night in March. I'd just finished reviewing a complex fraud case when Tiffany sat down with that look. You know the one. The "we need to talk" face that makes your stomach drop. The break proposal. She launched into what was clearly a rehearsed speech about how she'd never really lived and needed to experience what it's like to be young and free before settling down with someone safe like me. Safe. There it was. She'd been talking to Ruth and Brianna, who both thought she was wasting her prime years acting like she's already married. She needed to get some things out of her system before she could really appreciate what I offered. The entitlement was staggering. She wanted to test drive other guys while keeping me on layaway like a backup appliance. "So what are you saying exactly?" "I think we should take a break." "Not forever," she rushed to clarify. "Just until I figure this out. I need to know what else is out there so I can come back to you with no regrets. I just want to have fun before the boring couple life." She actually thought this was a favor to our relationship. She'd convinced herself that screwing around with exciting guys would somehow make her appreciate boring, reliable me. "You're asking me to wait around while you test drive other men to make sure I'm really what you want." She fumbled for words, probably realizing how it sounded when stated plainly. But then she doubled down with some bullshit about how, if I really loved her, I'd want her to be sure about us. She wanted maybe 6 months, maybe a year, however long it took. A whole freaking year of putting my life on hold while she auditioned other dick to make sure mine was worth keeping. So it's a breakup with the option to come back if your better plans don't work out. No, I'm not breaking up with you. I'm just asking for space to grow as a person. While dating other people, while exploring my options, yes. At least she was being honest now. I sat there looking at this woman I'd been planning to propose to in 3 weeks. The ring was literally 20 feet away, waiting for the right moment that would apparently never come. 4 years of building something I thought was real, permanent, worth protecting. And she wanted to throw it all away to see if the grass was greener, with the expectation that I'd still be here when she decided to come back. "Okay," I said. She looked surprised, like she'd expected more of a fight. "You want space to figure things out? You got it. Take all the time you need." What I understood was that the woman I'd fallen in love with had been replaced by someone who saw me as a retirement account instead of a partner. She packed a bag that night and went to stay with Ruth, until we figured out the logistics. After she left, I sat in our apartment and pulled that ring box out of my sock drawer. $8,000 and 3 months of planning for a future that had never really existed. The next day, I returned that ring and got my money back. Took that $8,000 and built the ultimate gaming setup. Top-tier graphics card, custom cooling, the works. Tiffany used to complain that my old PC was too loud and took up too much space. Now I had a beast that could run anything maxed out. Hunter came over to help me set everything up. Didn't say a word about Tiffany leaving, just showed up with drinks and cable management tools. Holy shit, dude. This thing could probably run NASA simulations. He was installing my new graphics card with the precision of a surgeon. What's the cooling setup? Custom loop, dual radiators. Things going to be silent as a library. Silent as your love life is about to be. He paused his work to look at me seriously. Which, for the record, is probably a good thing. Now we can finally get back to completing that co-op campaign without someone complaining about us ignoring her. I also got a dog. Always wanted one, but Tiffany was allergic. She wasn't. She just didn't want the responsibility. Found this German Shepherd mix at a rescue. 2 years old. Already house-trained. Named him Ziggy. Having a dog changed everything. Forced me to get up early for walks, gave me a reason to explore new trails, and turned out to be the best wingman ever. For the first time in months, I felt something I hadn't felt in ages. Relief. The morning after Tiffany left, I sat drinking coffee and thinking clearly for the first time in months. No more walking on eggshells, no more trying to be exciting enough to hold her attention, no more managing someone else's quarter-life crisis. Within a week, I'd joined a boxing gym in South End. A real gym where guys went to hit shit and get strong. The kind of place that smelled like sweat and leather. The owner, Mike, was this 50-year-old ex-Marine who'd done 2 tours in Afghanistan. No bullshit philosophy. Show up, work hard, get better, or get out. He introduced me to his crew. Tommy the firefighter, Marcus the software engineer, Big Jim the construction foreman. These weren't guys sitting around talking about feelings. They showed up, worked hard, pushed each other to get better. I started going every day after work. The physical exhaustion was exactly what I needed. Something to focus on besides Tiffany's betrayal. I also hit the regular gym hard. Not the Planet Fitness bullshit I'd been doing for years, but serious lifting. Deadlifts, squats, bench press. Started eating right, tracking macros, treating my body like a machine that needed proper fuel. The transformation was obvious within a few months. I'd always been in decent shape, but now I was actually strong. Not because I was trying to impress anyone, but because I was finally taking care of myself instead of managing someone else's emotions. Hunter was my constant gaming partner through all this. He'd roll up to my place after my workouts with takeout, and we'd crush whatever new release had dropped. The dude had this uncanny ability to make everything funny, even when I was having rough days. "Bro, you're getting legitimately jacked," he said one night, while we were waiting for a match to load. "Like, remember when you used to struggle opening pickle jars? Now you look like you could deadlift a car. It's therapeutic, hitting things legally. Yeah, well, just don't get too swole. Some of us still need to feel masculine around here." He paused. "Actually, never mind. Get freaking huge. I want people to see us together and think I hired security." Hunter had started a group chat with me, Tommy, Marcus, and Big Jim called Ryan's Glow Up Committee. The messages were a constant stream of roasting and encouragement. "Hunter, posted another shirtless gym pic yet? The ladies of Charlotte need to know what they're missing." "Tommy, dude's gonna need a bigger doorway soon." "Marcus, still think you should start an OnlyFans." Insurance adjusters gone wild. Big Jim, "Y'all are idiots, but Ryan's definitely winning this breakup." Meanwhile, Tiffany was documenting her self-discovery journey on Instagram. Posts from clubs in Noda, always with Brianna and Derek from her office, who'd apparently become her tour guide to the exciting single life. Her posts had this desperate quality, like she was trying to convince herself as much as her followers that she was living her best life. But my social media was telling a completely different story. Instead of sad Ryan with takeout containers, my Instagram showed boxing training videos, gym selfies where I was clearly getting jacked, weekend hiking trips with the crew. According to Ruth, who started calling occasionally, probably fishing for information, Tiffany was confused about why I seemed so happy without her. She'd expected me to be devastated. 6 weeks in, Tiffany started reaching out. Casual texts at first, asking how I was doing, mentioning shared memories, sending photos of places we'd been together. But I was genuinely busy. When she texted asking to grab coffee and catch up, I was getting ready for sparring. When she suggested watching our old favorite show together, I was meal prepping and planning my training schedule. When she called on a Tuesday night around 10 p.m., I was out with the boxing crew grabbing dinner after training. "You sound different," she said during one of our phone conversations. "Are you seeing someone?" "I'm just living my life, Tiffany." The simplicity of that statement seemed to completely derail her. She'd expected me to be in suspended animation, waiting for her to finish sampling the buffet and come back to her safe choice. 3 months into Tiffany's journey, the cracks were showing. Not just in her forced Instagram posts, but in the panicked calls Ruth started making. Derek lasted 3 weeks before showing his true colors. Guy was 26, lived with roommates in a shitty university area apartment, and his idea of adventure was getting high and playing Xbox until 3 a.m. on work nights. When Tiffany suggested doing something that didn't involve dive bars or his gaming setup, Derek told her she was killing the vibe. He started flirting with other women right in front of her, claiming he wasn't ready for anything exclusive, despite pursuing her hard. He ghosted her for a week, then showed up to a company happy hour with some 22-year-old intern. Tiffany had to watch him make out with his replacement, while her co-workers pretended not to notice. After Derek came Brad, the personal trainer who looked great on paper, but turned out to be a walking red flag factory. He was obsessed with his body to the point where he'd cancel dates for extra gym sessions. He'd critique Tiffany's food choices, suggest she tighten up her routine, and expected her to split everything while making twice her salary. He started openly flirting with other women at their gym. When Tiffany confronted him, he accused her of being insecure and clingy and said he needed space to focus on his fitness goals. Translation, he'd found someone hotter. Then there was Troy, the creative soul she met at some art gallery opening. He borrowed $60 on their second date to pay for drinks, then spent the night mansplaining why traditional relationships were societal constructs. Troy lasted a month before Tiffany caught him hooking up with one of her friends. Each failure hit harder because Tiffany had burned bridges to chase these losers. She'd bragged to everyone about how much better life was without boring, predictable Ryan. Now she was getting played by guys who wouldn't have lasted a week in my world. Her friend group imploded spectacularly. Brianna, the mastermind behind Tiffany's liberation, turned out to be a snake who couldn't handle her friend getting male attention. When Tiffany started dating Troy, Brianna immediately started undermining it, claiming she'd heard things about his reputation. The truth came out when Tiffany walked in on Brianna hooking up with Troy at a house party. Brianna's explanation? "You said you weren't exclusive. I was just having fun." Tiffany's social circle took sides, and most chose Brianna because she was younger, hotter, and brought more guys around. Tiffany found herself excluded from group chats, uninvited to parties, basically ostracized from the scene she'd thrown away our relationship to join. Meanwhile, my life was getting better every week. Boxing had become addictive in the best way. I'd progressed from hitting bags to actual sparring. Mike had me working on technique, footwork, combinations. The confidence boost was incredible, but the real game changer was Haley. I met her at the regular gym where I was lifting. Veterinarian, 30, recently moved from Raleigh. Smart, funny, sarcastic as hell, and genuinely hot. More importantly, she was impressed by my dedication to training. Haley had her own apartment, her own life, her own hobbies. Turned out she was a gamer too, had a killer PC setup, and could trash talk better than most guys I knew. We started working out together sometimes. Coffee after the gym turned into dinner. Dinner turned into gaming sessions at her place. It was easy in a way that felt completely foreign after 4 years of walking on eggshells. Hunter met her when she came over for one of our gaming nights. I was nervous about the introduction. Hunter's filter disappears around new people, and I didn't want him scaring off someone I actually liked. "So you're the veterinarian," Hunter said, settling into his usual spot on my couch. "Ryan told me you can actually kick his ass at Call of Duty. I'm gonna need to see evidence of this claim." "Oh, I don't just kick his ass, I completely destroy him," Haley replied, grabbing a controller. "Fair warning, though. I talk a lot of shit when I play." "I like her already," Hunter announced. 3 hours later, after Haley had thoroughly demolished both of us in every game we played, Hunter pulled me aside. "Dude, this one's actually cool. Like, genuinely cool. Not, I'm pretending to be cool to get male attention cool. Also, she's better at games than you, which is both hilarious and kind of hot." The difference was night and day. Haley appreciated that I was disciplined about training instead of seeing it as obsessive. She thought my insurance work was interesting because I had stories about catching fraudsters. She loved that I was building new skills and friendships instead of seeing it as competition. With Tiffany, I'd felt like I was constantly auditioning for the role of boyfriend. With Haley, I felt like I was just myself, and that was more than enough. Tiffany's texts were getting more frequent and transparent. The casual "how are you doing" messages turned into obvious fishing expeditions about missing our Sunday cooking sessions and our anniversary restaurant having specials that made her think of me. Then she saw the Instagram post that broke her brain. I'd posted a photo from a hiking trip with Haley and Ziggy. Nothing coupley, just the three of us at a scenic overlook. Haley looked incredible, natural beauty, genuine smile, clearly comfortable in her own skin. The complete opposite of the try-hard club photos Tiffany had been posting. Within an hour, my phone exploded with unhinged messages about who this basic girl was, how she was obviously fake and putting on an act, and how I was seriously seeing some random gym girl instead of working on us. Hunter's response when I showed him the text was immediate. Bro, we need to document all this crazy. This is restraining order level insanity. And also, it's going to be hilarious to look back on when you're married to someone who isn't completely nuts. 6 months after Tiffany left to find herself, she called with that tone that said she'd made a decision and expected the world to accommodate it. She wanted to meet for dinner to have a real conversation about us. I agreed partly out of curiosity, and partly because I genuinely moved on. When she walked into the Plaza Midwood restaurant Thursday night, the change was obvious. Same physical appearance, but her energy was completely different. The confident woman who'd left had been replaced by someone who looked tired, uncertain, maybe even desperate. We ordered and made small talk, but I could see her building up to something. Finally, she took a deep breath and launched into her rehearsed speech. Started saying how these past months had been eye-opening. She'd learned so much about herself and what really mattered. She was sorry for hurting me, but hoped I could understand she needed to explore those feelings instead of suppressing them and resenting me later. Still making it sound like cheating on me was actually a favor to our relationship. Everything she'd experienced out there just confirmed what she already knew deep down. I was her person, the one she wanted to build a life with. She was ready now to commit and talk about marriage and kids and buying a house. Like this was some kind of reward I'd been waiting my whole life to earn. She was presenting her decision to settle for me like it was a gift I should be grateful to receive. She'd gotten all that wild stuff out of her system and could now truly appreciate what I offered. She kept saying how grateful she was that I'd been patient and understood what she needed to do. You were right to wait for me, she said with a smile that probably would have worked 6 months ago. I know it was hard, but this is exactly why we're perfect together. You're stable and reliable, and now I know for sure that's what I want. We can pick up where we left off, and it'll be even better because I got all my doubts out of the way. She actually reached across and squeezed my hand like we were already back together. Like this dinner was just a formality before we resumed our regularly scheduled relationship. I'm thinking we could move somewhere bigger, she continued, apparently having planned our entire future during her Uber ride over. Maybe start looking at houses in Myers Park? I know you've been saving money, and my career is really taking off now. We could be engaged by Christmas if we wanted. I listened to her entire presentation without interrupting, watching this woman who had once been the center of my universe, trying to reclaim a position that no longer existed. When she finished, I was quiet for a long moment. I was amazed at how completely different I felt sitting across from her. Tiffany, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I wasn't waiting for you. The confusion that crossed her face was almost comical, like I'd told her the sky was green. What do you mean you weren't waiting? We agreed to take a break so I could figure things out. And now I have. This is what breaks are for, Ryan. Apparently she thought taking a break was like hitting pause on Netflix. Everything would be exactly where she left it when she decided to resume. I'm seeing someone seriously now. Haley. She's a veterinarian, and she chose me first, not after exhausting other options. The change in her face was immediate and ugly. Her whole entitled confidence crumbled into something petty and vicious. Are you freaking kidding me? Her voice got loud enough that other diners started looking over. You're seriously throwing away 4 years for some random bitch you just met? Her name is Haley, and I don't give a shit what her name is. What does she even know about you? Does she know you hate mushrooms? Does she know you get weird about horror movies? Does she even make good money? Veterinarians don't make shit, Ryan. I looked it up. You're going to struggle financially with someone like that when you could have me. She chose me, and I'm happy with her. It's over, Tiffany. But I chose you, Tiffany said, her voice getting shrill. I could have stayed with any of those other guys, but I chose to come back to you. The lies were pathetic. You didn't choose me. You chose to explore your options while keeping me as backup. That taught me the difference between being someone's safety net and being genuinely wanted. But we have history, she practically shouted, causing the couple at the next table to look over again. 4 years together. You can't just throw that away for some random slut you barely know. The jealousy was eating her alive. She kept demanding details about Haley, where we met, how long we'd been dating, whether we were sleeping together. Like she had some kind of right to audit my life. You know what this is? She said, leaning forward with this ugly sneer. This is you trying to hurt me. You're dating some rebound bitch to make me jealous. And honestly, it's working. But you're going to get bored of her in like 3 months, and then what? You'll have thrown away the best thing that ever happened to you for what, some mediocre pussy? I just stared at her. This was the woman I'd almost proposed to. I know you, Ryan, better than anyone. You think she's going to put up with your obsession with insurance fraud cases? You think she's going to love you the way I do? Her entitlement was breathtaking. She genuinely believed that 4 years of history gave her permanent claim to my future, regardless of how she'd treated me. This is exactly what Ruth said would happen, she continued, getting more frantic. She said you'd try to hurt me by dating someone else, but that eventually you'd realize what you gave up. Well, congratulations. It hurts. Are you happy now? I'm just trying to build a life with someone who actually wants me. I do want you. That's what this whole conversation is about. You want me now. After you confirmed I was the best you could do. That's not... God, you're being such a dick about this. I came here to fix things between us, and you're acting like I committed some crime by figuring out what I wanted. She actually believed she was the victim in this situation. Fine, she said, switching tactics again. If you want to be petty and date some rebound girl, whatever. But don't come crawling back to me when you realize what you're missing. Don't call me in a few months when you're bored of playing house with some basic bitch who doesn't challenge you. The delusion was clinical at this point. You're making the biggest mistake of your life, she said as she grabbed her purse. Other people actually appreciate what I bring to the table. She'd shown me exactly who she'd become. Someone who thought love was a negotiation, where the other person's feelings were just obstacles to getting what she wanted. I texted Hunter on my way home. Nuclear meltdown complete. Bitch actually thought I'd been sitting around waiting for her to finish test driving other dick. His response was immediate. Lamau, please tell me you recorded this shit. Also, coming over with victory drinks. This calls for celebration. The weeks after that dinner were like watching someone's mental state completely unravel. Tiffany's reaction went through all the classic stages, but then kept going into genuinely disturbing territory. First came the angry texts. I was throwing away something real for someone I barely knew. I was being petty and vindictive for not accepting her apology. I was going to regret this when the honeymoon phase ended. Then came bargaining. She'd do anything to prove how serious she was about us. She'd cut contact with Brianna and all the toxic influences. When that didn't work, she tried manipulation. Ruth was worried about how I'd isolated myself. My mom, who Tiffany definitely hadn't run into at Target, was asking about her. Tiffany herself was struggling with depression and might need professional help if I didn't give her closure. I responded to exactly none of it, which apparently drove her completely insane. Hunter was my constant voice of reason during this whole shit show. Dude, she's basically DMing you the 5 stages of grief in real time, he said while we were gaming one night. Also, I think she's stuck on stage 1. Anger's supposed to be temporary, not a freaking lifestyle choice. The messages escalated from pathetic to unhinged to genuinely creepy. She started showing up places she knew I'd be. The grocery store I always went to, the coffee shop near my apartment, even Mike's boxing gym. Just coincidentally being there, trying to force conversations. She'd text me screenshots of Haley's Instagram posts with commentary about how fake Haley looked. She somehow found out Haley's work schedule and started leaving comments on the veterinary clinic's social media pages, asking pointed questions about staff professionalism and whether they properly screened their employees. Hunter caught wind. Bro, she's officially entered Psycho X territory. Time to start documenting everything. He pulled up his phone. Screenshot every crazy text. Save every weird comment she makes. This bitch is 2 steps away from boiling a rabbit on someone's stove. The real psycho shit started when she created fake Instagram accounts to stalk both of us. She'd like old photos from years back, then unlike them. She'd watch all my stories within minutes of posting. She made fake accounts with random names and started following Haley, commenting on her posts with passive-aggressive bullshit. Wow, your boyfriend is so lucky. I hope he knows how good he has it. On a photo of Haley hiking. Some women just have that natural glow. No filters needed, unlike some people LOL on a makeup-free selfie. Haley caught on immediately because she's not an idiot. Instead of being intimidated, she decided to have some fun with it. When one of Tiffany's fake accounts commented, "Your dog is so cute. Does your boyfriend help take care of him?" Haley replied, "Thanks. Yeah, my boyfriend is amazing with animals. Way better than my ex's ex who was apparently allergic to responsibility." Tiffany's fake account started getting more aggressive. The back and forth was freaking brutal. Haley was absolutely roasting Tiffany without even knowing her real name, just based on the obvious desperation behind these fake accounts. Every response was perfectly crafted to hit exactly where it would hurt most. The breaking point came when Tiffany started showing up at Haley's work. She'd bring some random dog in for consultation and try to pump the staff for information about Haley's schedule, her relationship status, whether she seemed stable or was just rebounding. Haley's coworkers told her about the weird woman asking invasive questions, and Haley immediately put two and two together. That's when she screenshotted everything and sent it to me. The fake account messages, the work stalking, the social media harassment, it was all documented. We had been collecting evidence. Your ex is completely unhinged, Haley said when she showed me everything. This isn't heartbreak, this is obsession. And honestly, it's starting to feel dangerous. She was right. When Tiffany started driving by Haley's apartment building, Haley caught her on the security cameras. We decided enough was enough. I filed for a restraining order. Hunter came with me to the courthouse for moral support, and because he wanted to see justice served in real time. This is like Christmas morning, he said, as we walked up the courthouse steps. Watching a crazy ex get legally bitch-slapped for being a stalker? Peak entertainment right here. The restraining order process was surprisingly straightforward when you have that much documented evidence. Screenshots of the fake accounts, security footage of her stalking Haley's apartment, witness statements from Haley's co-workers about the consultation visits. It painted a clear picture of escalating harassment. Tiffany showed up to the hearing looking like she'd crawled out of a dumpster. The obsession had clearly taken a toll. She tried to play victim, claiming she was just concerned about my mental health and that Haley was manipulating me against old friends. The judge wasn't buying it. The restraining order was granted for 1 year, with possible extension if needed. No contact, no social media interaction, no showing up at places she knew we'd be. Violation would result in immediate arrest. Tiffany looked like someone whose entire reality had collapsed. She'd gone from a confident woman exploring her options to restraining order recipient in less than a year. Haley and I went out for dinner to celebrate that night, because we could finally move forward without looking over our shoulders. 3 months after the restraining order, Ruth called to tell me Tiffany had moved back to her hometown in South Carolina. Apparently, the social isolation, job stress from her workplace harassment incidents, and legal costs had become too much to handle in Charlotte. She seems to be getting help, Ruth said. I think she finally realized how badly she messed up. Good for her, I said, and meant it. 6 months later, Haley and I moved in together. She brought her books and plants and coffee addiction. I brought my training gear and my understanding that love shouldn't feel like work. Hunter helped us move, naturally turning the whole process into a roast session about my organizational skills and Haley's book collection. Jesus Christ, Haley. How many books about veterinary medicine do you need? Are you planning to operate on dinosaurs? He was carrying a box labeled textbooks, heavy as hell. Says the guy who owns 17 different gaming keyboards. Haley shot back. Those are specialized tools. You just have 17 books about cow diseases. A year after that, we got engaged. The proposal wasn't some elaborate Instagram production, just the two of us after a morning hike, both sweaty and tired, and absolutely certain this was what choosing each other looked like. Hunter's reaction when I told him, "About damn time. I was starting to think you were going to propose to your protein powder instead." Tommy and the boxing crew were at the wedding. Marcus's side business had taken off, and he flew back from a client meeting just to be there. Big Jim handled all the setup because the man could build anything. Hunter was my best man, obviously. His speech was a perfect blend of roasting and genuine sentiment. I've known Ryan since we were 12, and I've watched him make exactly one good decision in his entire life, dumping the psycho and marrying the veterinarian. After the wedding, Tiffany sent me one message from an unknown number. I hope you're happy. I know I messed up, and I am really sorry. Congratulations. Tesai never replied, but I genuinely hope she finds what she wants. Whatever second chances she gets, it won't be with me.